Karamui cocoa steps into new frontier. MP clears air on Bilum carpet walkover. And acts now on round log exports.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayre.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Saturday's news. Karamui in Simbu province has been described as the new frontier for cocoa production in the country. From just 16 bags of cocoa sold in 2013, last year Karamui sold over 1,500 bags, an increased production of 50% from 2019. Agriculture Officer Eric Gore predicts this will increase as farmers in the 27 wards of Karamui have planted a total of 1 million cocoa trees.
The first cocoa was planted in Karamui, Simbu province in 2008. The first dry beans were sold in 2013. That first sale of cocoa brought in 5,588 kina. Last year, Karamui sold 1,631 bags of dry cocoa, capping in 367,131 kina 60 toya. Simbu's provincial cash crop coordinator Eric Gore in a recent presentation said since 2013, cocoa production in Karamui has gradually increased, whereby in 2020 it reached about 50% of production.
So we estimated about total investment in Karamui now is about 7.5 million. It's possible we can end that in 1 year. But if we get a clones grafted or to a tree standing now, we could end up about 30 million investment in Karamui. So if we get cocoa to other provinces now, we expect that it is possible. And then we also like say 310 tons by 2030. We already have that. We already exceed 1 million production. So maybe Karamui alone can provide get there the 310,000 tons. It's possible too.
Karamui is now described as the new frontier for cocoa production in the country. Seeing the results, farmers in 27 wards in Karamui have already planted a total of 1 million cocoa trees to date. With this commitment, Gore expects another 50% increase this year.
After last year, you can see it's a big increase up to 50 tons from 24 tons, from 12 tons. Up to 2450. So this year we could estimate about more than 90%, 90 to 100,000.
Seeing its huge potential, the Simbu provincial government is 100% behind supporting cocoa farming in Karamui, contributing 150,000 kina this year for freight subsidy as there is no road link. The people of Karamui believe cocoa will deliver them from all the struggles, including road access, paving way for vital government services into this remote part of the country.
Karamui cocoa farmers, they believe that all the cocoa will deliver this road. They've been thinking for decades so.
But as farmers increase production, there is a great need for training to address some of the constraints and issues. Mr. Gore is working closely with the PNG Cocoa Board to address these concerns.
Fermentary and dryers, we also need a bit more because production is picking up. Now I have 1.3 million trees, so how many dryers could we need? If Cocoa Board can tell us, okay, you have 1.3 million trees, so ratio, how many combination dryers do we need?
While these issues are important and need to be addressed, the fact remains that Karamui produces one of the best cocoa in the world. Karamui cocoa is listed in the top 50 of the 2019 Cocoa of Excellence International Cocoa Awards in Paris. Samples have been sent to Paris for this year's challenge, with the results to be announced later in October.
2018, we had Karamui, who also participated in the international show because they won the 2018 cocoa show. Based on those identifications, they have been able to go into marketing.
The International Cocoa Award rewards producers of the best cocoa in the world, recognizing quality and exceptional flavors of diverse cocoa varieties, as well as the know-how of those who produce cocoa. Shamin Poriambe, National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Belda Nama has called on Prime Minister James Marape to explain his silence on the killings going on in his electorate in the Hela province. Nama says the tribal fights in the last fortnight have claimed already 20 lives, and despite a rushed peace signing ceremony, the situation is still very tense.
Mr. Nama bluntly pointing out the obvious, said Prime Minister Marape swore an oath upon taking office to defend the Constitution and the people.
People's life and welfare is our common denominator as leaders of this country. People's lives and welfare is our number one job as leaders of this country. It is the only job we are given by our own people. That is to protect and safeguard the lives of our people and take care of their welfare.
Adding that the Prime Minister has capabilities at his beck and call, he openly questioned the Prime Minister on his primary duties of defending the country and the people of Hela.
And how do you, as a Prime Minister, will now use the police force to enforce the same law on other districts throughout the country, other citizens throughout the country, and you cannot enforce it on your own people?
The opposition leader adds that despite tribal fights being a difficult task to control, Prime Minister Marape must not turn a blind eye, as even the people of Hela deserve protection by the government and by this parliament.
And if we are going to continue to see this kind of trend in our country, and where law is not enforced, where perpetrators, the murderers, are not held accountable for their actions, and held accountable meaning brought to justice, be tried by a fair and competent court.
The Prime Minister, in an interview with EMTV last month, seemed quite concerned and had this to say about the killings in Tari.
As a long-term strategy, we're working to ensure there's a beefed up presence of police. One permanent mobile barracks will be built in Hela province. A new military battalion will be stationed in Hela province, and the reopening of the CIS Correctional Service Institution is something that we will ramp up at the very earliest. So the immediate measure, but a long-term measure for us really is to ensure that the village court system and the lower level community-based conflict resolution program is reactivated at the very earliest.
And at Kora, National EMTV News.
Communities in West New Britain will soon tune into their radios to access news and other information via medium wave platform. This follows signing of an MOU and counter-funding of 427,000 kina to the National Broadcasting Corporation. Meanwhile, Communication Minister Timothy Masiu urged the NBC management to ensure the user policy document is signed by all NBC staff so equipment is used and sustained into the future.
West New Britain political leaders, NBC management, minister responsible and other partners attended a small ceremony yesterday to enhance NBC services in West New Britain. The Communication and Information Minister says this is an effort to allow people access vital information via radio services. Masiu says East New Britain will also benefit from this service. A new camera and MacBook were also presented to NBC West New Britain and NBC Central.
Any neglect or negligence or careless use or damage or loss of these equipments by any staff must result in severe penalties for the offending officers, because these are not just ordinary equipments. I call on the NBC board and management to ensure that this user policy is signed by all recipient provincial stations and is also enforced.
The reintroduction of the medium wave radio service comes after years of suspension. The head of NBC says people all around West New Britain will access this service.
What's going to happen in West New Britain with the funding assistance we're getting, NBC is getting today, is that we're going to reintroduce medium wave radio transmission in the province. And that will cover the entire province, also neighboring East New Britain and other NGI provinces as well. So that's That's a huge investment in the people, local people back home.
A counter-funding was presented to NBC management. A joint funding by the West New Britain Trust Fund and Thalasset District Development Authority. The regional MP says provincial budgets have supported the radio station in the past years.
In whatever capacity from provincial budget we can support NBC, whether it's maintenance of station or maintenance of staff residents or buying some kind of equipments for them, because it is in our interest to ensure that this station is equipped.
To make sure that we revive communication in terms of radio in Western Britain that has been left idle for some time, and we want to access information, very important information for our country, for our district, for our province, to all the remote people of Western Britain province.
Digicel has also come on board to link listeners via its new radio app for listeners to subscribe and access this service, including television. Jack LaPower Jr., National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Papua New Guinea has reported 9 new cases of COVID-19. The latest cases were reported in East New Britain, Medang and in the National Capital District. The country's COVID-19 cases as a result stands at 970 with 10 known deaths. 17 provinces including the autonomous region of Bougainville have reported cases. Meanwhile, quarantine is an important measure to prevent the spread of COVID-19, says the controller of the National Pandemic Response, David Manning. Mr. Manning has appealed to everyone to strictly adhere to the 14-day quarantine period as placed on passengers travelling into the country. The member for Kainantu, Johnson Tuke, says he owes no apology to anyone for his actions after laying bilums on the ground for Prime Minister James Marape to walk over. Many have gone on social media in recent days criticising his actions, which they claim is disrespectful.
The member for Kainantu was bold about his decision to use bilums as a carpet for the Prime Minister in his recent visit to his electorate.
It is a Western culture and our traditional culture. So put in red carpet, what does that depict? A Western culture. And what do you say in a traditional setting? Put in bilum is one such kind of it. So what I've done is within the boundaries of traditional underpinnings.
He adds he owes no one an apology.
We have demonstrated our ability of respect and honor. So for one person to express an opinion and seek apology, I don't think so. I owe no apology to anybody. I have done what I have done within my able, capable, reasonable understanding.
Many have gone on social media to criticize his actions, saying it was disrespectful of the Bilum.
It's just like you buying a vehicle. What do you do with a vehicle? Does the producer come and tell you and advise you how to use the vehicle? You use it as and when and how you want to use it. So I bought the bilums and I used the way I wanted.
Gertrude Gabi, National EMTV News.
The National Cultural Commission has come a long way since its establishment in 1994 by an Act of Parliament. NCC Executive Director Stephen Kilanda says culture is the single biggest standalone tourism product in the country. Since 2020, the Commission has been taking a new approach to empower locals in rural areas.
During the launch of the National Cultural Commission's events calendar, the 2020 Annual Achievement Report and the Annual Operational Plan for 2021 was also presented to the Tourism Minister. The Commission is now focused on helping set up cultural festivals and encouraging villagers to take ownership of their cultures by organizing cultural events or festivals in their rural settings. The tourism minister applauded the commission for its initiative.
NCC has already been going down to the rural communities, setting up cultural festivals and cultural centers, thus giving our people there the opportunity to participate and take ownership of their cultural heritage. This is the way forward if we want to preserve, promote, and safeguard our cultures.
So far since 2018, NCC has helped set up and launch over 20 cultural festivals and supported the constructions of 5 community cultural centers within the country. Through its National Film Institute in Goroka, 13 film documentaries have been produced in the last 2 years.
We must teach our cultural education in all our existing schools, in all our formal the education system in our country. The cultural education must be taught in all the schools. And we've got one province that is piloting the cultural education is Enka province.
The 3 cultural institutions that operate under NCC have seen significant improvement in their respective office renovations in Goroka and Port Moresby. A national cultural policy is currently in draft form, and an office complex to be known as Khalsa House is also in the plan.
And then we want to see more local level and more community festivals taking place in the respective villages and the respective communities around the country. So that why? Because they are the protagonists. They have to showcase their culture.
Lilian Sopera Kenea, National EMTV News.
The increase in duty on round log exports introduced in the 2020 budget is having a positive effect, according to analysis conducted by the community advocacy group Act Now. Speaking highly of this increase, campaign manager Eddie Tanago said the higher export duty has both increased government revenue and driven down the level of log exports in line with government policy.
The increase in duty on all round log exports from 35% to 45% was a government response to revelations that foreign logging companies have been evading corporate income taxes by manipulating their financial reporting. With the government committed to reducing round log exports and promoting more downstreaming processing and value adding in PNG, the increased export duty on round log exports is designed to discourage companies from exporting and reducing the volume of round log exports.
Instead of an agency saving the interests and demand of logging companies, we should have an agency, one that exists to save the interests and ensuring sustainable and ethical management of our forests.
Analysis by Act Now shows that over the first 11 months of 2020, the increased export duty has been delivering on both its intended impacts. The picture is not all positive, though, as Act Now says that only 16% of log exports in 2020 were from supposedly sustainable managed forestry operations. Highlighting a recent statement made by the Managing Director Tono Sabuin, who urged the minister to reverse the increase on log export duty, only emphasizes how the authority has been captured by foreign logging companies.
Statement by the Forest Authority Managing Director asking the new Forest Minister to reverse the increase in the log export tax clearly shows that the PNG Forest Authority is captured by foreign-owned logging companies.
Annette Cora, National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. PNG Football Association has received the second delivery of FIFA-funded vehicles for its operation in Port Moresby. PNGFA President John Capinato was in the company of his PNGFA Council Dan Kakaraya and PNGFA General Secretary Pius Letenge to receive the keys for the vehicles from Ella Motors.
The acquisition of vehicles is part of ongoing changes taking place under the leadership of President of PNGFA, John Capinato. A similar presentation was done last month for the PNGFA Operational and Education Office in Lae. Capinato thanked FIFA for endorsing and financing the vehicles to support the work of football in the country. With PNGFA's aim of spreading football throughout the country, the vehicles will help PNGFA officials move up into the Highlands region. Under the 700,000 kina funding from FIFA, PNGFA have purchased 7 vehicles for the Port Moresby head office, Lae and Kimbe. PNGFA General Secretary Pius Letenge thanked the PNGFA Executive Committee for their vision to purchase the vehicles, as transport is one of the major hurdles in carrying out the football activities in the country. Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
The Pacific Cargo Services, a subsidiary of the NKW Group and now the major sponsors of the Lae Cricket Association. A thankful LCA President Kenneth Ila said the association has been without sponsorship for a while, and this support will help the code in the province, especially with the junior development programs. The sponsorship by PCS will continue for 3 years.
These representatives are showcasing the new uniforms which were launched this week as part of the Pacific Cargo Services sponsorship. They are from the different teams under the Lae Cricket Association. A grateful association president, Kenneth Ila, said this support is needed to boost the code.
Now with the sponsorship, we will bring up little tournaments that, for the kids especially, up and down the highways where we can find them. Have a push behind this development team so we can progress.
In terms of PNG cricket and Lae cricket especially, we've thought it was a great chance to put forward all our Moravian players, put their best foot forward and to try and get themselves to another level.
While the Marlborough province is dominated by soccer and rugby, the Cricket Association has in a quiet way been producing national players that have gone on to represent PNG internationally. 2 of them being Vicky Ara, who is in the PNG Lewis team, and Damien Rabu with the PNG Barramundis, who are taking part in the T20 World Cup this year. The sponsorship by PCS will continue over 3 years. With this support, the association has also been challenged to develop more players. President Ila said this support will help with the junior development programs.
Hopefully we can go a long way with this sponsorship, especially with our focus on junior development, pushing youngsters, building numbers here, and trying to do a pathway forward for young players here in Lae.
Lucy Kopana, Trukai Sports, Lae.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Find partly cloudy weather with possible brief showers in Port Moresby, Daru, Karamui and Alotau. A few rain showers in Popondetta. In the Momasa region, mostly fine, though partly cloudy with evening showers in Lae, and mostly fine weather in Midang, Wewak and Whanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy periods with some showers in Lorengau, Kokoporabao and Kimbe, mostly fine weather in Buka, and mostly fine though partly cloudy in Kavieng. And in the Highlands region, fine partly cloudy weather with evening rain showers right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundi, Awamendi and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for this Saturday. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.